chestnut?
We will.
All right, so we got the American chestnut. Once abundant in the forest, the wood of this tree was used for products of daily life and provided food for families, livestock, and wildlife. A fungus introduced from Eastern Asia nearly wiped out the species in 1904. The species survives mainly as short-lived root sprouts.
And then you got the chestnut, when you do the chestnut to the right, the wood.
That's right, just the chestnut I did.
Aspen.
Aspen?
Chestnut, just a couple thoughts about chestnut. There have always been those working with rose-colored glasses to make the chestnut tree come back. It has not been successful. They've tried all kinds of ways to keep the tree alive. And the reason that chestnut is so susceptible to the disease is that there is only one annual ring that is functional for the tree. So carrying the water up the tree and the elements, it's only one layer of one growth ring. So if a fungus kills that growth ring, there's no support behind it or around it. Something like a maple tree has at least 11 years of growth rings that are functional. So if something affects, you bump into a maple tree with your lawnmower and you kill the bark, still the elements and water will go up to that injury, and then they're shunted behind it or around it, and it continues to keep the tree alive. Chestnut cannot do that. Now that's also what makes chestnut resistant to decay. There's nothing for the fungus to eat. The cells are empty, so it's it's an amazingly resistant tree to decay. Black locust is like that. The cells are empty and nothing for the fungus to eat. Yeah.
Bruce, if the invasive species started in 1904 and killed everything in a forest, how did the fungus survive?
The fungus can actually live on oak. So the fungus is here. So if this tree gets big enough to attract fungus spores, they will just come from the oak. They're very, very close in biologically. Chestnut and
So you
oak.
don't think the new genetic chestnuts will ever survive then?
I don't believe so, but I would hope that that would be the case. I have some interesting pictures of there'd be a canker on a tree, so they would take a branch and graft the branch below and above the canker in order to keep the water and elements going up the tree. All right, then the branch that they grafted in gets a canker, so they graft another piece onto that. They would have branches going from a root to up into the tree. They look like jungle fig trees. But the idea was, for many years, the thought was if we could isolate chestnut, they would eventually become immune to the attack by the fungus. That is no longer thought possible. So currently what is done is you take American chestnut, and with genetic engineering you can do this much quicker, but we can cross an American chestnut with a resistant variety, let's say the European chestnut or the Japanese chestnut. And so we have a hybrid that has genes resistant to the disease, and then cross again with the American chestnut and continue to do that, always diluting the influence of the European chestnut and increasing the biology of the American chestnut, and hoping that we will have eventually a tree 98% American chestnut with the perfect form of the American chestnut, but having the resistance of the European chestnut. And if I live so long, I would like to report to you the results.
What about the big two?
Yeah.
So
All
how
right.
about the work being done at SUNY ESF?
They've been, there will be work done as long as there's grant money available.
So they claim to have a resistant tree.
And they do. They can have a resistant tree. It's just that making that work in the wild that's a whole different ballgame. And we won't go. That was just a thumbnail sketch of thoughts on chestnut. It's not. I'd like to go into it in detail, but that's 2 hours.